from Inside News, Election Desk, the results 2022. Live from our studios in Washington DC, my name is Richard Holland, and tonight we will finally get to know what America has decided. Tonight we will be looking at several races. We will be looking at the race for governor in Olympia and Pacifica, as well as the races for the Senate in Pacifica, Lincoln and Jackson. And for the first time in history, the House of Representatives, for which 27 seats are to be filled. And of course, the presidential election. Tonight, two new parties can appear on the political stage: the United Communist Party and the America First Party. The Communist Party hasn't had the most crazy start. The party has been riddled with leadership changes, controversy and pushback from the public. The America First Party has been viewed as a joke of a party by the public, with its presidential nominee Miguel Osowski not making things any better for them. Americans have been dealing with an economic downturn, while abroad, adversaries like Russia and China are making their moves. At home, a person like Manus Day struck terror in the hearts of Americans and caused a lot of sadness. The Pluribus administration has done a lot of good things, especially on foreign issues, but domestically has been quite weak. Americans expect better and hope that a new administration will do more than just tackle obesity. Tonight, one of the new parties may be seen as the big winner of the election. As for the presidency, it remains to be seen. Will it be Kyoko and Lulu, or will it be Miguel and Sandoval? Or will it be Morales? Whoever it may be, they have a lot of work ahead of them. Tonight, I am joined by my co-hosts Konnor Harris and Brad Wood. They will guide you through the night, and Chuck Stewarts, Insight's head of elections, will announce the results as they come in. I wish you all a good night. If you are a candidate, I hope that you may have won this night. If not, the American people have decided the next course of this country. And we all should appreciate that. This is Inside News. Richard Holland, live from Washington DC. Now, over to the desk, the election desk. Over to Konnor and Brad.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm Konnor J. Harris, better known as Governor of the Commonwealth of Olympia, and I'm joined here with a very strong roundtable of guests with me. If you all don't mind, just, take your turn and introduce yourself, starting with Brad.
Hello, and my name is Brad Wood, aka former Governor of Pacifica, in my opinion, the best one. I'm here tonight with, again, what Konnor said, a good guests all around the table tonight, and I am happy to be here. One of you said anything?
We'll just go ahead, go over to Chuck. Chuck, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chuck Stewart, President Pro Tempore of the United States Senate, and I'm also the head of elections for Insight News. I'm glad to be here, and I'll be making projections for our many races tonight, and just be giving status updates. Insight News has conducted a wonderful exit poll with almost 40 responses, and I'll be sharing the results for that as well. So stay tuned for our projections. Back to Konnor.
Great, thank you. We also have Mr. John Ross III, who is also a potential victor tonight. If you don't mind, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is John Peter Godfrey Ross III. I am the current governor of Pacifica, and I'm running for Pacifica's Senate seat. And yeah, thank you for having me, by the way.
Okay, great. Moving on, we have Mr. Jacob Iron, who is also a candidate tonight.
Hello there, my name's Jacob Joseph Iron, and I'm the Comment Center Class 2, I believe. Please ignore the lack of my picture. GFX team is having a hard time today. I'm back to Brad. Back to Brad and the desk.
Okay, we also have former Speaker Ladarian on with us.
Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be here. I used to be the former Speaker of Dallas and the former party of the Democratic Party, and I'm proud to be here with you all tonight.
And last but certainly not least, we have our producer and former governor of the Commonwealth of Lincoln, Mr. Richard Holland.
Thank you, Konnor. I'm here, and I was the former governor of Lincoln. And yeah, that's all. I'm producing the stream, the broadcast, so let's hope for a great night.
Of course. It is great to be joined here by such a diverse panel. We're all going to have our own little take or insight on what's going to happen tonight. And I look forward to discussing with everyone to see where we're going to go. So I don't plan on having this be a really strict kind of format. I want this to be like we're all sitting around the kitchen table having a discussion on who's doing what. So to start off, does anyone have any preference with any race that we want to kind of talk about? I know I do, but I'm willing to defer to anybody if they have anything in particular.
If I don't mind, I think one of the big things that we need to talk about is the House races, because this is the first time it is happening in D.C. I think it'd be very interesting to see what the House makeup is going to be and what are our thoughts on it.
I agree.
Oh yeah. This House election is going to be very, very interesting because now we're entering into a point where we're seeing that we have the potential for a very, very strong left-leaning House. However, what's going to probably happen is some people are projecting, it's going to be a left landslide in the House. I'll admit, I'm a little more reserved about that. I'm not as optimistic about that. I think there's going to be a very strong fight between some of the newer parties, like the America First Party, which seems to be pretty popular about now, and some of the more conventional left parties like the Democrats and the Socialists. Right now, I believe it is 35 seats in the House. Of the 35 seats, I'm projecting the left is only going to really control maybe about, let's see, doing a little bit of quick math. I think maybe about 20. I've been corrected. There are 27 seats in the House. Forgive me. So there are 27 seats, of which 13 is halfway. I think the left is probably going to claim about 14 to 15 of those. Nothing to where it's a super majority. However, I think that they're going to have an edge. Does anyone else have any thoughts?
No.
Well, I'll first like to add that I believe it's not going to be a super majority at all. I feel like there's a few strong candidates on the right that'll hold their weight and push through to obviously get elected to the House. But to the people who thinking, not on this broadcast, of course, but usually the American people think it's going to be a left supermajority like it was in the good old days, in my opinion. I think it's not going to be the case. I feel like the American First Party with a few candidates, I feel like they'll do well. As you said kind of before, the American First Party is becoming more popular. I feel like it's less controversial than the United Communist Party. That the United Communist Party has lacking numbers and lacking any sort of leadership at all. I feel like the American First Party will surprise us. I don't feel like they'll do super well, of course. But I feel like there'll be a few surprises.
So, Mr. Ross, what are your thoughts on how you think the House is going to go?
Well, quite frankly, I believe, if I recall correctly, that the House has been a right majority for at least a couple of months, I think, at least. And it's the left's time to basically shine, and it's their best chance of taking the House is like now. So that's my thoughts about it.
All right. So, I tend to kind of moderate and allow everyone some equal time. I tend to go from a left-leaning person to a right-leaning person. So up next, former Speaker Ladarian, what are your thoughts on how the House is going to go?
Well, I'm very optimistic that the left will have a few seats. What I will say is that I'm really hoping that we can not be so divided from whoever wins their House seats. As a pro-believer in bipartisanship, I truly believe that when you have a bipartisan era, people will love to work with one another, no matter their party affiliations. And that's the strongest thing that I'm concerned about, because we have new parties and we have different beliefs and we have different structures concerning how we want America to go. So that's what I'm really looking at.
All right. Mr. Iron, what are your thoughts?
Well, there definitely isn't going to be a supermajority by any parties, which will hopefully force them to cooperate for once. Even though it might be impossible, seeing some of the candidates, but, well, it's not going to be very exciting, well, except Lincoln seat 4, I think, which is getting contested quite heavily.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what's going to probably happen, there's going to be a coalition government. I don't think any party in particular has the numbers to quite claim over half of the House in and of itself. So I do think that a coalition government is what we're going to wind up seeing. So that way I can kind of counterbalance myself. Mr. Holland, do you have any points? Okay. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that we have some projections about to roll in. So I'm going to go ahead and slide over to Chuck Stewarts at our election desk.
Insight News is now prepared to project that the left coalition will gain control of the United States House of Representatives. I repeat, Insight News is now prepared to project that the left coalition, made up of some independents, the Socialist Party, the United Communist Party, and the Democratic Party, will gain control in the United States House of Representatives the United States House of Representatives this election. I don't believe that this is a large shock to many of you. However, just because of the sheer number of left candidates running this month, and due to most of the districts this month being uncontested on both the left and the right, we are able to project that a majority of districts will be won by left-leaning candidates. So once again, we're able to project that a left-leaning coalition made up of independents, socialists, communists, and Democrats will take control of the House this month. Back to you, Konnor.
Well, that's probably not what some people want to hear, but it's also really good news for other people. And I think that that's more than likely what we're going to see. Now, the more interesting thing, now that we've talked about the House, I want to know, does anyone have any takes on the makeup of the Senate for the next month?
Well, I would like to say this if you guys don't. For the I'm very optimistic about that as well. But I just only have concerns when it comes to like different, party affiliations, new party affiliations coming in. But I believe it will go both ways, left or right. That's what I believe.
All right. So, well, Mr. Ross, correct me if I'm wrong. You are running for Pacifica Senate, correct?
This is correct, yes.
So, do you have any thoughts? I mean, aside from your race, do you have any thoughts that you want to give to how you think the other races are going to go, most notably the race in Jackson?
Well, let's see. The other races. So in Jackson, a good friend Noah is running, and he is in a very toss-up race against Johnson in an open seat. And I would like to see Noah win, but again, I can't really see. I can see both of them winning. Yeah, I mean, there's other races like Lincoln that are also like toss-ups and stuff. So it's one of the most interesting election seasons for Senate.
Agreed. So, well, Brad, let's go ahead and slide over to you. You are a former senator from Pacifica. What are your thoughts on any of the races that are happening?
Well, I would like to start with Jackson because I find Jackson the most interesting because we have two powerhouse senator candidates. We have Noah and, of course, Johnson going up, two very experienced individuals. And Jackson's becoming, like he said before, more of a toss-up type district. And I believe it could go either way. But if I have to say if something's tilt, I want to say it's going to be tilt more to Johnson than Noah. Now, we can move on to the Lincoln Senate, and I feel like Joey has a very strong chance of winning, if I'm being honest. I just don't feel like Vicaron, being an America First Party could be problematic, and Lincoln's always been well known to have focus on get-to-table issues. I feel like Joey, who's I would say a moderate to progressive kind between those lines, I think he could.
Oh,
I feel like he could fit the role pretty well. And last Senate race, we got ourselves John Ross and Jack Francis, and these are two very good candidates in my opinion. Pacifica has went from a very socialist to democratic hold to more of a right-leaning hold. And will the vote base come nationally to vote for? Either one we have I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack Francis is a former governor of Pacifica. And John Ross is pretty good as well. I would like to say it's really evenly matched, but if I'm going to pick anyone, it's probably going to be It's probably going to be John Ross. I feel like he has a slight advantage what he did with the campaign. Jack Francis, sure, he has plenty of experience, but I feel like John Ross would take the mantle as senator. And that's my thoughts. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we have some objections coming in, if I'm not mistaken. And if we do, can we move over to Chuck Stewart to tell us all about it?
Yes, folks. We're having some objections coming in just now. I believe our election team is just processing the final number. Oh my gosh, apologies. Our election team over here at Inside News is just processing the final numbers, and then we'll be able to make some more projections for you all tonight. And I'll be back. Oh, actually, it appears that we do have some results for Olympia Governor.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that race is between Kate Kasparian, James Stewarts, and I think it's only those two.
Folks, we do have a projection. We can now project in the race for Olympia Governor between and Democrat Kate Kasparian. that who did not win the nominee, James Stewarts, will be elected to the position of Olympia governor in quite an upset, I believe. And yes, and he won with in quite a large margin, actually, 55 and just under 55.5% of the vote. I believe most people were expecting a Kasperian win here just because Stewarts was not endorsed by a party. But Stewarts has managed to pull out a win here, most likely due to his campaigning. And we're gonna go to a break in one moment, but just before then, I do believe we have some Pacifica governor projections, and then after our Pacifica governor projections, we have to go to a break. We can now project that United Communist. We can now project. Excuse me. We had our election team had a bit of a mistake here. We can now project that Jacob Iron of the Republican Party, who's actually with us here today, has been elected to Pacifica governor. I repeat, Jacob Iron of the Republican Party has been elected to Pacifica governor.
Well, congratulations.
God bless. God bless.
We
God
do not
bless.
believe that this was an unexpected result.
I honestly didn't expect to win, but it seems the polarization of both the left and the right worked in favor of me.
Congrats.
Oh, wow. We're getting the results just pouring in here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Our election team is really working hard. I do believe that we're just going to have one more projection. We do, unfortunately, really have to go to a break here. We're just going to be projecting the Lincoln Attorney General shortly. Of course, the public opinion on this is that current president, soon to be former president Pluribus, that's the main public opinion, that current president, soon to be former president Pluribus, will be winning this race. However, we're just getting the results in for our projection now.
And this is going to be a very interesting one because President Pluribus has served as Lincoln's Attorney General before. However, he was challenged by a political newcomer, Mr. Doc Jones, who flipped between the majority and minority leader of the Lincoln General Assembly. So, yeah, we're anxiously ready for these results. Where's the intern that's supposed to be handing you those results?
I'm not sure. Our intern, Randy, I believe, our intern is running late with those projection papers for us. But yeah, if Randy could just hurry up here,
it's
that would
not
be amazing.
just the intern; it's also the GFX team fault.
Oh yes.
They're having
We can
a
now
bad
project,
day today.
ladies and gentlemen, and that President Pluribus will win the Lincoln Attorney General race over newcomer Doc Jones with just over 60% of the vote. Congratulations to President Pluribus, and now we must go to a break.
Yes.
We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
We will have to go to a break for a little bit. We will come back very shortly. Here's some more music. Hold on a second. We have technical issues with our studio. Few moments, please.
Welcome back, everyone. We're back from our
Hey.
commercial break. Apologies for that long break. Our intern Holly, unfortunately, made a slight mistake with our cables, but we're back up now. The cables have been dealt with. Our intern Holly has been instructed what to do in the future. So now we're back, and I believe our intern
can I
Randy
add
will
something
momentarily
too?
have some more projections for us.
Also, I want also that the GFX team was able to fix the graphical errors, so you should see better.
Yeah, we've been having some technical difficulties. Actually,
Yeah, it happens.
we do have some results from the Olympia house races, I believe. Although we've already projected that the house as a whole will remain with a left-leaning control. We have not yet, of course, predicted the house results. So here's a big batch of projections for you all. In Olympia's first congressional district, former President Jake, an independent, has won with 93% of the vote, the other 7% going to write-ins. In Olympia's second district, the independent Adam Salinger has won with just over 86% of the vote, the rest of the vote going to write-ins. In Olympia's third district, Representative Cryptic, a socialist, has won with just over 83% of the vote, the rest of the vote, once again, going to write-ins. In Olympia's fourth congressional district, Natalia Poklonskaya, a representative, a socialist as well, has won with 80% of the vote, the other 20% going to write-ins once again. In Olympia's fifth congressional district, Governor-elect Stewarts, who is running as an independent in this race, has won this race with just over 64% of the vote. Coming in second place, Brandon Jones, a Republican, with just over 28% of the vote. The other 6% going to write-ins once again. Finally, in Olympia's sixth district, Rep. AOC, a socialist, has won with just over 83% of the vote. And finally, in Olympia's seventh district, Representative Franz Ricca, a socialist, has won with 90% of the vote. So, just to summarize, the Olympia House delegation will be former President Jake, Adam Salinger, Representative Cryptic, Natalia Poklonskaya, Governor-elect Stewarts, Representative AOC, and Representative Franz Ricca.
Oh wow, this is interesting, and I apologize. One of the interns led me down the wrong hallway. We're gonna take care of that.
It's a new studio. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, Yeah, we just
Yeah,
remodeled our
it's
studio
adjustable.
and got a little turned around. So,
Welcome
yeah,
back.
Ashley,
It's
the
good to see you.
intern, if you're hearing this, you're fired. So,
Wasn't Howard the intern?
no, Holly, the intern, she didn't do anything wrong.
Oh.
We're blaming Ashley, the intern.
Okay, folks, apologies to interrupt, but we now have some more projections from our intern Randy. Wow, he really is working fast today. And just to recap the Olympics, the whole 7 delegates from Olympia will all be controlled by either left-leaning or independent candidates. Not a single Republican, Libertarian, or America First member elected in Olympia.
Not surprised.
No, Pacifica House. Oh. Yeah, I believe we're going to
Randy dropped the paperwork
in just a
again.
moment here.
It just disappeared.
Our intern Randy has unfortunately dropped paperwork once again.
Wow, I don't like the way you guys are acting. I ought to fire you.
Sorry,
Looks like
actually,
Randy's
apologies,
speed
Epic
actually a different-
fail.
Apologies,
I
I
am
have been
so
mistaken.
Imagine
It's the
not
intern
owning
Rob,
22%.
folks, apologies. Intern Randy has actually been doing everything fine today. It's actually intern Robert who has been messing up. Apologies. Really sorry to Randy about that, but it's been intern Robert. So now we have the Pacifica results. In Pacifica's first district, Kate Middleton, an independent, has won with just over 94% of the vote, the rest going to write-ins. Pacifica's second district, former Senator Flynn Someone has won with just over 94%. I'm sorry, I don't believe he was a senator. Former Senate candidate Flynn Someone, a socialist, has won with just over 94% of the vote, the rest, of course, going to write-ins. Pacifica's third district, our first candidate of what's generally considered a right-leaning party, former President Mark, a libertarian, although he does belong to the left caucus in that party, has won with over 97% of the vote, and the rest going to write-ins. In Pacifica's fourth district, Bobert, an independent, has won with 91% of the vote, and of course the rest going to write-ins. And finally, in Pacifica's fifth district, Polar Bear, also a newcomer, has won with just over 94% of the vote. Thank you.
So while we're here, can we just circle back and talk about how Governor-elect and Representative-elect Stewarts now has a pretty interesting choice to make. I assume that he's going to probably pick the higher office. Wow. Apparently I'm getting some news.
Connor, I'm going to stop you right there, and we're going to go to the Lincoln House now.
Yes, apparently I've gotten some news. We are going to go ahead and proceed on with our projections.
Oh, look, some more results.
So, Chuck,
Wow.
take it away.
Some contested races. Very neat.
Well, I think we seem to have lost Chuck. So
Oh,
I'll go ahead.
sorry.
And...
Sorry,
looks like
folks.
I'll go ahead and announce these results.
Folks.
Okay, so if you all can hear me, we do have Lincoln House projections now. In Lincoln's first district, I'm sure this will interest Governor Harris, who we have in this call with us. In Lincoln's first district, former Senator Lightfoot has won with just over 70% of the vote. It's coming in second place. Logan Brown, a Republican, with just over 29%, and no votes for write-ins in this district. Lincoln's second district, former Senator Clark, a Democrat, winning with just over 88% of the vote, the rest going to write-ins. Lincoln's third district, Rep. Hev, an independent, has won with just over 60% of the vote. Next place, Chase, a Republican, with just over 39%. And finally, in Lincoln's fourth district, Wesley Anderson, a communist, has won with just over 51% of the vote. Actually, just under 52%. And Matthew, a Democrat, has lost with just over 48%. This is and this is our first communist elected official in. So, well, that's quite a feat, I would say, for the Communist Party.
I'd like to add, I don't think Senator Clark is a former senator yet. He's still a senator.
Yes, current Senator Clark.
Yep, not a former senator.
Also, I would say that not only do we just have our first, but we had our first 2 members of the United Communist Party winning seats in the House here in Lincoln.
What a horrible day
Yeah.
to be an American.
Well done, comrades.
Well, I mean,
It'll be okay when the American First Party takes the White House. However,
talking
but
here
that's-
is
Debatable.
sorry. Talking here is the vice chair of the Democratic Party.
God bless its
We-
former president, Senator Hall.
We have a bit of an issue coming up, actually, because just a few days ago I motioned and did what various other parties have also done to initiate a cordon sanitaire against the socialists.
A what?
Not socialists, I do apologize. Against the communists.
The communalist?
No, a cordon sanitaire. So basically saying that we don't want to work with you. Right.
That's cool. I like that.
I like
Against
that.
the UCP and against the AFP, which puts us in a really difficult position now.
Wait, against
If-
the AFP, you don't like America?
Well, if we do see, which is kind of the way it's looking from polls that have been done before this point,
I'm not expecting the Democrats hate America. I mean,
if we see an AFP presidency, we're going to be caught in a bit of a funky situation. I think as a
gosh
party,
darn
and
right, you will.
though I still don't think we should work with them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh.
Moving right ahead.
Yeah, let's move on to some more
So-
results.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what we see here and less about inter-party politics. So what we're seeing now, we're seeing that the House has taken, we're getting the left taking a good majority of the seats in Pacifica, Olympia, and Lincoln.
The right doesn't have a single seat in the House right now, I believe.
this is
yeah, correct.
this is very bad.
So-
I just want, I'm a little bit disappointed in the fact that we didn't vote as many candidates. I'm
Well,
speaking here as the
from-
vice chair of the Republican National
From
Party.
Lincoln 3, which hub is that? Is that you?
Lincoln 3 is not me. I live in Lincoln 4.
No, not you.
Lincoln 3 is the communist have like
Oh, that is communist
Yeah.
hub? Okay.
Yeah.
Just to
So-
correct all of you,
And Chase is the party leader, and that's quite sad. No Republican in the House so far.
Oh, wow.
So
and
far-
we've gotten more results
Oh.
in
okay,
Chuck.
guys. So back to me, I guess. Wow, so Jackson's first district. Oh wow,
Oh,
we just got
gosh.
God
Jackson
bless.
in Frontier House, so this is gonna
God
be
bless, I
fun.
won.
Okay, so Jackson's first district, Seeger Purdy has won with 82.5% of the vote. Jackson's second congressional district, Marco Angel Reyes Guerrero, Republican, the first Republican, has won with just over with 82.5% of the vote. Jackson's third
Nice.
district, our first America First member, Smith, former President Smith, and once again America First has won with just over 51% of the vote. Coming in second was the Independent Warren, which is over 43.5% of the vote. Jackson's fourth district, Moran, a Democrat, has won with 85% of the vote. Jackson's fifth district, Deputy Democratic leader James Carter has won with 84% of the vote. Coming in second was Saul Goodman, an America
damn.
First member,
Good
who
God.
who had just over 11%. So quite a devastating loss for the America First Party in Jackson's fifth district. Now moving on to Frontier's House. In the first district, Jonathan Mast has defeated, an independent has defeated James Brumman, a libertarian, with just over 59% of the vote. Frontier's second district, Thomas Berkeley has won with just over 88% of the vote. Frontier's third district, Anthony Bolton has won with just over 87.5% of the vote. Frontier's fourth district, Gantz, also running as an independent, has won with over 95%.
Wait. Chuck. I think I'm
Yes.
getting some breaking news that the presidential results
geez.
are about to come.
We actually just have the presidential results here. First of all,
Hold on, we missed.
just for Senate,
Frontier's
Ross has won the Senate race in. Congratulations, Ross, you've won the Senate race. Next of all, moving on to Lincoln, Joey has won the Senate race in Lincoln, and also in a bit of an upset. I don't know if this was really unexpected, but Noah has beat out Representative Johnson in the Senate. So now we have the presidential numbers. So everyone, please stand by for a presidential projection, a major projection here. Presidential. Of course,
This will be one of the most influential
candidates,
presidential
former
elections.
Vice President Kyoko, a Democrat, running with former President pro tempore Louis Lulu, an independent. and America First member Rep. Miguel Wazowski running with Omarosa Sandoval, a former justice on the bench, and of course Senator Morales running as an independent. So we're about to see what happens, and also this does mean that I believe the left has lost their majority in the Senate. Unless I'm mistaken here. I repeat, the left.
Yeah.
Because the right now has four Republican seats and one America First seat, and then of course Morales, who is actually left-leaning.
I think the
interns.
Here, guys. I think they're here.
The interns.
Let's stop talking.
Okay.
No, actually, we're just waiting on results from.
Nope, I think we're done teasing. I think they're here.
Yeah.
The results are here, guys. They're here.
Come on, interns. Don't be scary.
Okay.
Oh, holy shit.
Oh my gosh, a huge upset.
Oh my lordy lord.
Miguel has won with 55% of the vote. Kyoko coming in a very distant second with only 20% of the vote.
What the hell? Oh my god.
Shocker. A huge shocker.
Miguel.
That has got to be a big upset. I'm not
Okay, big question here. Is this going to be a repeat of the Trump presidency?
That's right. It is.
It has got to be a mistake.
We see that America has spoken, and after a relatively quick rise after forming their party, the America First Party has taken hold of the White House. So this is rather interesting, considering that a lot of the exit polling kind of considered that former Vice President Kyoku was going to lay claim to the White House. However, apparently America, I don't know whether there was an issue with some of the issues that were being tackled, or if it was just they weren't ready.
Miguel is just better.
So
America First, people.
Although I have to say, the public had a lot of, I think.
I want to welcome another guest. I want to welcome Remy Carton to the table.
Oh wow, Federal Judge Carton, welcome to the election desk. Well, as we can see, we have finished up our results. All of the races have been declared.
Yeah.
It is...
Just before we move on, just regarding our exit polls, this was really unexpected here at Insight News. Our exit polls were actually relatively balanced with a plethora of different party members. And we saw many people on the right actually casting their vote for Kyoko-chan and Louis Lulu.
No, we didn't.
Louis
That's
Lulu.
Everyone voted for
in our exit polls, we did actually. In our exit polls.
Oh yeah, you're right. I did remember that. There was like a 2/3 majority.
Please don't interrupt me, Mr. Butterson. Please. I will be wrapping up quickly. So yes, once again, we had a relatively even share of party members in our polls. However, clearly, as we've seen before, polls are not reliable in this country. And even Kyoko-chan had 1 hour won our exit poll with over 2/3 of the votes in our exit poll. And however, as we see now, these polls are simply not accurate. And I just have to say, I know I personally am shocked by these results, and I'm sure many others here at Insight News are shocked, and across the country are shocked by these results, as we saw Kyoko-chan as the relative front runner in this race up until, well, now. So now, back over to our panel, and that's all from me. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. It's been great hearing you talk about these numbers.
If I may, sorry.
I'm just gonna
let's
go
stop.
ahead and
That's...
now. So, as we've heard from our election desk, our internal polling suggested that Vice President Chan was ready and appeared to be on a path to take the White House and have her turn to kind of run the country. However, unfortunately, that's not how it's played out. And as Chuck said, the polling isn't always accurate. We do have some people here. I see a lot of you are willing to kind of jump at the bit to speak on this. I think former Speaker Jones had something he wanted to say, and then I heard Senator Hull. So if we could just kind of keep this in that kind of moderated style where we just allow everyone to kind of give their speech. Starting with former Speaker Jones, you had some thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is not the end of the world. We can always try again. Like I said, polls are not always accurate. But I've learned that as a leader that you have to allow democracy to take its course, whether you voted for the candidate or whether you voted for him or not. Now, my belief is I came in late before voting started, so if I would have voted, that would have probably made a difference. But we have to allow democracy to take its course, no matter who's the president of the United States. So that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, and now Senator Hall, I believe you have something.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm a senator, so I'm going to look at it a bit more from the Senate's point of view here, especially with the presidency. We saw that pluribus left open a court seat. It will be very interesting to see if over the next 5 or so days before inauguration, whether pluribus tries to fill that seat very quickly with the Senate, or whether he leaves it for the incoming president. That'll be an interesting thing to see, because that incoming president is going to have most likely the Senate. I think, aren't they? They've got 4 Republican senators and
four.
And an AFP.
Yeah, 4 Republicans, 1 AFP, 1 independent, 3 Democrats, 1 socialist.
So, and with the vice president, that gives them the majority in the Senate. So they've really got kind of the edge at the moment on the right for making changes.
In the Senate, yes, but not in the House.
Yeah, not in the House, but very much in the Senate. They've got that edge for pushing through candidates to certain offices. I think that the left really has dropped the ball this cycle, with, for example, Francis dropping out, which I wholly believe that if Francis had stayed in, we'd be looking at a different story.
Yeah, I believe so too. I agree.
But with Francis dropping out, then Kayuku, which was a subpar ticket with somebody who had become very much disliked over the last month as their vice presidential candidate, it just felt a bit kind of, it felt like you knew the result, I think, before it came out. As much as polling may have said another story, it felt that you can kind of tell what was going on. The Senate, though, I think is the big upset. With I wasn't expecting Francis to lose the Senate seat in his race. I think that was kind of what the left were really hoping for, was to take that seat and to take the seat that Noah was running for as well. I heard they put a lot of endorsement into that. So I think definitely as a left wing, we've got to reevaluate our position here and look to the next election, to the midterms, to see where we can try and make gains. Because this was our opportunity to take back the Senate. This was our opportunity to keep to hold on to the presidency, and now we just see this complete landslide really for the right, except for the House. I will say the House is a different story, but it does seem that the right have very much focused on the Senate and the presidency.
Well, I think you do have a point. However, what I do see happening, because the House of Representatives is now a strong grasp of the left, a lot of what now President Miguel has planned to deliver is going to be very, very difficult to deliver upon. So now, as we can see, Americans have voted for a split government, and things like this have happened before. So what we're going to be seeing a lot of is a lot of the things that, were promised on the campaign trail, unless somehow the America First Party or another right-leaning party can come and claim some of these seats, which, as we've seen, doesn't appear to be, it doesn't really appear that they're going to be able to take that based off of the results. It's going to be I don't think everybody is going to see such an extreme Miguel Sandoval administration. It's not going to be as extreme as a lot of people are probably expecting, because this president's going to have to compromise. And because a lot of nominees go through the House of Representatives, a lot of cabinet picks are going to be very heavily scrutinized, including, who is going to run arguably my favorite department in our political bureaucracy, Who's running the Department of Education? Who's going to run it? Who's going to run the Department of Environment? Who's going to run
First platform
Foreign Affairs, the
with
state?
dissolving the Department of Education, so there won't be Secretary of Education probably.
If I may, sorry, go on.
And that's going to be something very interesting. That is typically a cabinet post that is usually filled or managed by somebody. So if there's going to be nobody overseeing that department for the entirety of the next administration, that's going to be probably a little concerning to a lot of Americans, because I'm not sure if many other people know the role of the Department of Education. We don't set curriculum. And I say that as a former Secretary of Education myself. We don't set curriculum. We do a lot of grants and we do a lot of research to assist the states with their departments of education. So if there's nobody running that, nobody really being the liaison for that, I feel like there's going to be some effects that are going to trickle down. So that's going to be very, very interesting. I think Senator Hull had a quick quip that he wanted to make.
I did, yes. I just wanted to say, I think this really, the reason the left has won, I think, the House this time round is I think it's an issue with the right and running candidates.
Yeah.
If you look across almost all of these races, almost all of them were uncontested. Now, for me, what this highlights for the left is a big issue when it comes to next month's midterms, is that if the right manages over this next month to mobilize enough members to run in those midterm elections, what we could see, and especially if they hold on to the Senate, which isn't, as we've seen with this election, isn't beyond belief, if they manage to hold on to the Senate and get a good bit of manpower into the House, we could very much see the House maybe not flipping, but getting very, very close, very, very much closer to being more balanced, I think, especially if we see the right, mobilize. I think that's the main thing they need to do at the moment, is to mobilize themselves, get themselves ready for the next election, and really try and put their best foot forwards, which I don't think we saw with the House election this time around.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, maybe it's obviously you're better suited, Holland, to talk about the failings of the RNC here.
Yeah,
with
I want to. I want to.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the host, but I can say some things. I'm a little bit upset that in the first time in the history of the Republican Party, we have just one person in the House, and that's race is a good person, but this is a sham for the Republican Party, and I believe that the Republican National Committee failed, totally failed.
You think there needs to be reform then?
Perhaps a reform, but we have a chair, and he wasn't always there, to be honest. I'm a little bit upset. I had to step in as the vice chair and make sure that things were in order. I mean, I'm glad that at least someone right-leaning won the White House. At least we can make up for the cross-presidency. But the right, it won, but if you look at the classic right, the Republican Party, it lost. I mean, yeah, sure, we have 4 senators. That's nice, but the House is important too. And we lost that, and that's not excusable. We have to be better, and
Do
that's
you
what
think
I'm.
Sorry, but do you think that your party members, and as every other party has currently an elected system, do you think your party members will now start pushing to be able to hold their RNC members to account? Because you acknowledge that they are failing in their jobs. Do you think that the party has lost confidence in you? And if so, do you think that it's time to bring the Republican Party in line with the mainstream view of the other political parties?
I believe that we have to make some changes. Of course, in a style that works for the Republican Party. We have been working on that. We have 2 new at-large seats that are being elected right now. But there needs to be some more work, and there definitely needs to be a system of accountability for current members of the RNC.
I don't wanna like butt in by any chance.
But, you can butt in.
But before I start, I'd like to thank Pacificans for electing me to the Senate. It's an honor. And I what was I gonna say? I'm just flabbergasted at the moment because I thought Francis was gonna win. Quite frankly, a good friend of mine. Stuff like that, but sorry, but as an RNC member for a bit now, I originally thought that an elected RNC would be kind of cringe, but all right, I've changed. I think a little bit. I think we do need some reform, and that's probably going to happen soon. But I don't think I have any info on that. But yeah.
So I'm just, I will admit I supported former Vice President Kyoku on her run. I'm not ashamed to admit that. However, just kind of looking at the Miguel Sandoval platform, I just want to know, I'm very curious because as we can see, very many people were elected tonight that stand against a lot of the policies in this platform. So I'm trying to figure out what may have led people to vote for the Miguel Sandoval ticket. Was it a protest vote of former Senator Louis Lulu? Was that what could that have been the determining factor that cost Vice President Kyoku the legislative win? Well, not the legislative, the win in the confidence in the mandate of the voters to lead the country. Because I'm seeing, I personally know Alec Lightwood, who won his race tonight. And a lot of what he runs on is based on, the environment and ensuring that, we have a very safe planet to call home because, we only have one. And looking at the Miguel Sandoval platform, there's absolutely no mention of what is their environmental policy. Everything that we're seeing, it's pointing fingers at the left. It's the left is doing this to you. A tactic that some would consider to be fear-mongering. I'm not going to say my thoughts on whether that's fear-mongering or not. I'm just here to be impartial as your host for this evening. But it's very interesting how you see the left pretty much stole the House. Well, not stole the House, forgive me. The left picked up a majority of the seats in the House, very, very much so. However, we're not seeing that reflected in our top executive. So does anyone happen to have any thoughts on what may have caused that? I think Remy Carton, Mr. Carton, do you have anything that you want to say about that?
Actually, I wanted to bring maybe a different point because I think we should not forget that at the moment unemployment in the country is skyrocketing, and that situation may not improve in the future. And I think one of the things we overlook when it comes to the incoming presidency is the fact that now President-elect Miguel is going to have to deal with the worst economy this country has known pretty much since 2008. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if the president is able to actually put together an economic policy and work with a left-wing House and will probably remain a right-wing Senate to actually deliver and tackle this crisis, because at the moment, I'm not sure it's clear if he will.
Yeah, that is a very good point, and I think maybe the economic situation may have possibly led to some kind of backlash against Vice President Kyoku, because as we know, President Pluribus is a very prominent member of the Democratic Party. So not to say that this is necessarily his fault, but Americans typically, whenever something's going wrong in the country, they tend to point fingers at the occupant of the Oval. So that is a very interesting perspective that you bring. So what I think we're going to do, I think Mr. Ross, Senator-elect Ross, had something that he wanted to say.
Yes. I think to add on to your point, I think that I don't really blame Pluribus for exactly for everything for the economy, right? Because the president isn't really 100% to blame. But I think that the issue was because of the economic problem, but also maybe of a disenfranchisement type of thing with the parties. Knowing for example, 2016, everyone was thinking Hillary Clinton would win, and the Donald was somehow clutched up. So I think that disenfranchisement was probably there, and they probably voted for someone who wasn't in that type of party situation or close to the White House. And yeah.
If I could add on to what you were saying there as well, I think
really quick, and then we have to go to a commercial break.
Okay. I think that, like I said earlier, it's not as much an issue with. I don't think there is actually this idea of that the left has done well in the House and the right has done well in other places because of particular policy reasons. I think that the main concern is manpower. I think the only reason the right didn't do well in the House this election was because they didn't have the manpower to run the candidates. I feel that if those races were contested this time round, if all of those races were contested, we may have seen very well a right-wing Senate, right-wing House to mirror the right-wing Senate and mirror the right-wing White House. I don't think that. I think that the left has won purely on luck in the House, and that going forwards, the left, especially coming up to the midterms, really need to look at themselves and think, how are we going to defend against another kind of what this really is, a right-wing wave. And if somehow the Miguel presidency does well, then I really do think the left's going to be in a really bad position coming up to the midterms.
And so yes, with that, we're going to go ahead and move to a commercial break, and we will see you soon.
See you all, guys, soon.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Back for a nice quick commercial break. I am glad to be back here, and we're going to continue to talk about the obviously racism.
Your microphone is a little bit breaking up, friend.
We did not want this party's name at all. Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, your microphone is better now.
Now, we're going to talk about one party that's very interesting, kind of an original party, but they've been around for quite a while. It is the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party, who had, I believe, 3 Libertarian presidents in a row, could be 2, but I believe it's 3, is down to only 2 seats in the House. Nothing, I believe, in the state. Nothing, no senator, and of course, no president. Now, I think this is kind of the downfall of the Libertarian Party, and I'll probably put a nail in the coffin that the Libertarian Party is dead party due to lack of good leadership, lack of active members who switched to the Republican Party or went independent. I think it's a big failure on the Libertarian Party that I don't think people are talking about, but yet again, it's kind of been dying a horse for a while.
Yeah.
And this race signifies the failure of the party. Now, that's just more side note. I feel like it's a swan song at this point, with the left disappointing what was supposed to win races. The House, I don't believe, was stolen. They simply just did not have enough rights, did not have enough people running against them.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Can you repeat that? You're breaking up a little bit.
You know, it is interesting to see because that left did not just take control of the House, right? The right did not even try. They did not even try.
No, we didn't try. It's really a shame.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and the left, it was an easy victory to take over the House. And with the races up, you know, there's
Brad,
you
can an intern please fix Brad's mic?
Yeah, can you please fix my microphone? I have no idea what is going on. You don't have the best interns, okay? I'm gonna be real.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
staff don't have really our best interns.
It's not Chris News. We're still trying.
If I can speak maybe on the House.
Yeah.
Because
I'll fix my mic.
it is true that the right has not really tried. They contested only very few races, and most of the ones they contested they actually lost. But at the same time, I think it's going to be interesting over the next month to see what the dynamics are inside this new House, because yes, it is clearly a left-wing majority, but it's a very diverse left-wing. You have, I believe, 3 members of the United Communist Party, which, from what we know, will not be welcome in any kind of formal agreement with the Democratic Party. And you have the socialists in between, who are like the second largest group, and basically a requirement when it comes to getting a majority, unless the Democrats actually want to work with basically the whole left. So there's going to be some balancing happening, and I think the House is going to search for an effective coalition. What's the best way to make this work? We have an elected House, 27 members. One of the advantages is that it's going to make things a bit more predictable and make caucuses and party dynamics a bit more important than they used to be. But what these dynamics will be and what it's going to look like, whether or not the left is actually going to be able to work together, and which part of the left is going to be an interesting question, especially when now they probably have at least one thing which they will all agree on, which probably will be the perceived necessity to fight against the incoming administration, which I don't believe any other party on the left will have a keen eye on.
Yeah, I agree. It's certainly a learning moment for, say, the Republican Party. I mean, the Libertarian Party, it was on its way out, let's be real. especially with the foundation of the America First Party. You know, a lot of the members of the America First Party were libertarians, but the Republican Party needs to learn from this. This is shameful, you know, and you know, we should have done better. So we need to learn from this. We need to come back stronger next term, next midterms, so that we can at least have some balance in the house, because, you know, it needs it. So yeah.
I would not totally give up, right? I would not totally give up on the Republican Party. Don't forget, you have 5 members in the Senate. You know, 5 Republican members in the Senate, and it'll definitely have a say. Obviously, we have the left-wing House, but Republican-controlled Senate per se, not even just the right. It's mostly Republicans. They will have a good say in the administration. That I feel like the administration's, I should say, on environment, I don't feel like they have a very strong stance, or the stance is unknown. I feel like the Republican Party still can have a strong influence. The moderates can still have a strong influence in the way the House is going to run. But I wouldn't say the Republicans had a bad time. I feel the midterms come along. You have the RNC has a pretty good structure. I feel like they'll push candidates through the House and try to at least slim the margin. I believe it's a very possibility. The left, in a month's time, needs to figure out a plan and combat this. It does not help that we still have the United Communist Party still around.
Doesn't help. No.
Does not help at all.
I mean, the right find itself, in my opinion, basically where the left found itself in the days of the supermajority of the Progressive Caucus, which is that most, if not all, of their competent members are actually in the Senate, or for some of them are in state houses. So that's an issue that may explain why it happens that the GOP has so little representation in the House, only Mr. Reyes Guerrero. I think it's because the RNC for the last few cycles really put the emphasis on winning back the Senate from progressive ends and trying to play the state card. And we're seeing the consequences of that. And the question, I think, is whether either there's going to be a shift in the Republican Party trying to actually also play the House card, or whether they will rely and hope for a new generation of leadership, which may allow them to continue with their presence in the states, continue with their presence in the Senate, and at the same time start being competitive again in the House.
Yeah, we have a lot to learn, of course, from this. But I also want to talk about something else. Before the break, Konnor was talking about why people may have voted for Miguel. But, you know, I've been thinking about that, and, you know, it could also be possibly an answer to the Pluribus administration. He did really well, don't get me wrong, but he dropped a few in regards to domestic policy. It wasn't his strongest, you know, strike for domestic policy. And maybe the American people are voting for something else, you know, to see, you know, if maybe a right candidate may focus on domestic issues more than what Pluribus has done. So, yeah, that's my opinion on this. What do you think, Brad? Or Ladarian, who has just joined?
I feel like Ladarian has a few mic problems as well, because I'm struggling to reconnect. I think the mic is unplugged. Let's get one of the interns. Hopefully, we won't fire them and kick them out. And connected. But what I think the right will do, let's just think about the right will do. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the interesting dynamics with the administration. With Miguel, obviously American First Party candidate winning, they're in a very interesting situation. They're not going to be as radical. They can't fulfill campaign promises. And also we have a mixed bag with the left controlling the House, right controlling the Senate. It would be very interesting. What I'm really looking at is how the president is going to try to influence the House. Senate, there's only so much you can do with the Senate with the bill creation. There's only so much. he needs to rely on his House members, a few that he has, to do something. There's only so much he can rely on the executive branch. Not to mention, we have no idea who's going to be the environmental secretary, the labor secretary. It's got to be someone who's at least a moderate, who probably has experience in that, if I'm being honest. So,
Yes,
we
and keep in mind that the House is in charge of confirming cabinets, so that's a big hurdle to pass.
That is true. That is true. So what we're at is going to be a standstill government that's not going to do much because we have our American first, a right wing president with a
Yeah.
left wing house. I
Well,
feel like
I
there's
mean,
going to be some stuff that's going to be done. For example, I feel like the
there,
budget
there-
will
there's
get done.
two there's two possible scenarios. One of the scenarios is that the left on the House, is able to unite itself enough that they can force the incoming president's hand and maybe force him to take at least a number of their own picks for his administration in an effort maybe to rein
Just
in his
in.
policies.
I'm
Or-
breaking in here a little bit, but
Go ahead.
Rudd has resigned from the office of the frontier governor. This means that an American first will be now having a governorship, James Berman, because technically he's American first. So yeah, Rudd is no longer a governor of frontier, Berman is.
Yeah, and Senator Berry is having a press conference at the top of the hour, probably to announce something. So I think people will want to keep an eye on this.
I don't know if that's a real good thing. If she's gonna announce that she in 2 months from now will run for president. Nothing against her, but she has been a little bit invisible as senator. So I'm not sure how she will do as a president. To win that, I don't think that's going to be the strongest ticket the left can front as well in 2 months. I don't think this is something that the left needs if she's going to announce for president.
Well, that's one possibility.
I think what the left needs most of all is a more active and new, fresh, and what we call members to run. We can't rely on the old people that's probably in the Senate running and probably place high-ranking positions in the Democratic and Socialist Party. We need new members trying to take the ranks, and that's kind of been a problem for a long time. And this is just one of the consequences of that.
And we need someone who is like Pluribus, who can talk about those kitchen table issues that Pluribus did. That is why he was elected. But also make those kitchen table issues a reality. Because that was what was lacking in this administration. Not so much that there was a lack of policy, but there was not a lot of domestic policy. And I think that the American people are punishing the left for that. There was no domestic policy. There are issues with the economy. And the American people said, we need someone new. A new, fresh pair of eyes. And they chose Miguel for that. And now, I don't know. I think Barry may be a little bit of a an issue that I just don't think she's the right candidate if she's going to announce now. I have a feeling that she's going to announce. But I don't think she's going to get the White House in 2 months. Someone else needs to do that. A new face. Not the former president.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I could not really add to it more. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, for example, who's going to be taking up the cabinet, what members that could be in the House, could be doing other jobs, who's going to take up in the cabinet positions. I feel like there's plenty of options to choose from. Definitely lean right wing, but I feel like it's not all going to be right wing.
Yeah, we have to see. Let's see. Does anyone want to say something? Because Don't know how you gentlemen feel about this. Ladarian, do you have something to say before we wrap up the evening?
Well, I was making a small point regarding cabinets just before we got some breaking news. And there's a second option from the one I previously underlined, which is that maybe the House would just agree to confirm President-elect Miguel's cabinet and start with the assumption that, you're in charge, show us what you can do. And maybe or maybe not, the America First Party will be able to deliver on their platform and will be able to tackle the economic crisis that's looming and the international situation, which is a very problematic one too. So either the House will try and force the president's hand and try and contain his policy in a sense, or they'll just let him slide with it and see how it goes and see if the AFP, which is in power for the first time, can actually survive remaining in power and actually governing on their own for a whole term.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point.
I'm sorry. I feel like there's not much to really say about it. We have Barry having a press conference very, very soon, less than a minute starting. We have the first American first president with a newfound party taking control, and I feel like it's going to be two dynamics. One, it's going to be a standstill, or that of a very weird compromise. So
it's going to be an exciting. Yeah, I think this term will be exciting. It's going to depend on what the House is going to do. We can't rule out the possibility of an impeachment. The left has the ability to start it. If they want to be very obstructive, they can do that. They can be denying each and every cabinet member. But if that happens, if the left is going to be so obstructionist, that may bite them in the ass in the midterms. So I think they need to play their cards right. If they mess up, they will lose the House in the midterms. I'm pretty sure.
I don't feel like the left will do that, because I don't feel like they're too organized to stop that, or at least try to stop that.
Yeah.
I feel like right now the left is just thinking about what to do, but I feel like that's not the best possibility because they want to do something. Because they know, sure, they have the control of the House now, but they know they won't last. And they're really thinking about midterms now. They're licking the wounds and thinking about solutions to come back stronger.
Yeah, I agree. You have any final remarks, Remy?
No, I believe we had an extensive discussion.
Ladarian, you here?
What I do have is a final breaking news in the fact that the Pacifica District Court actually granted an injunction against the referendum on modifying the Constitution. So don't expect any change to the Pacifica Constitution for now.
Barry has started her press conference. Just, gonna vamp a little bit here, and let's try and talk about what's happening. What can happen. She's a senator. Oh no, she is not. Yes, she is. She could resign. She could run for president. It's gonna be interesting. Well, let's just hold on a minute.
Well, right now, Barry is giving a brief statement before she's gonna let the press ask any questions.
Yes, let's take a look at that brief statement. And Chuck Stewart is back.
Yeah, I'm not here in my capacity as head of elections now.
Yeah, okay, we know.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a few remarks before we end and pan over to Senator Barry's press conference. I have to say, at least to myself, this was a shock. I mean, I see why the left lost, and I think that we need to do better in the future. I have to say, I am quite nervous about Senator Barry's press conference. I'd like to see what happens there. And unfortunately, this does mean that I will no longer be serving as the wonderful President pro tempore of the Senate, so that's a little bit disappointing. However, I'm sure whoever the right chooses will do a fine job in that position.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then there's nothing that I can really do about it.
We're still
just
waiting on Barry.
Yes, we're still waiting on Barry. I believe they're pulling up their statement now from an intern. Oh, those interns. But
Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stewart, while you're here, next up for election is your very own Senate class. You've been in the Senate for quite some time now. I think you're the longest-serving continuous member of the Senate at this point.
Well, currently, actually, I believe Morales has been, but at this point, I did take a 2-month break from the Senate. But I think cumulatively, I am, if not the longest, I'm definitely second to Senator Schlorp, who was a wonderful face in the Senate. But what's next? I'm working on it. I may be seeking re-election. As to that, I cannot make an announcement at this time regarding my re-election, which I'll be up next month. I plan to propose some legislation this month, whether it gets passed or not, with the right-leaning Senate and the American First Presidency. We'll have to see. But yeah, I cannot make an announcement at this time regarding my re-election or any other offices that I may choose to pursue in the upcoming months. But I hope that I'll be able to do some work in the Senate this term, because I believe it's highly unlikely that I am going to be serving as PPT, so I'll have more time to work on my own legislation. I'd also like to say that as Mr. Glass's attorney in the Pacifica court case, I am quite happy that no request for an injunction has been granted, so that the people of Pacifica can have another chance to truly voice their opinion on this amendment, which was once again improperly written and improperly proposed for referendum. So I'm quite happy that the injunction was granted. But in general, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to give you all your projections, and I'd like to thank the American people for participating in our democracy. Although I may not agree with some of their results, democracy is one of the best elements of our country.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the voice of the people that matters. We can sit here and say, it's a bad choice. It's maybe not the right choice, but that's not democracy. We're not here to say what people should vote. So, it's democracy, and that process we should have to respect. I mean, yeah, I'd like to thank you for being our Wolf Blitz. CNN is looking at you and probably want you. No, but we're still waiting on Rosa Barry. If she doesn't...
Yes, we are still waiting on Senator Barry. Senator Barry, a longtime friend of myself. We've been serving in the Senate with each other for a long time now.
Yeah, I mean...
Although I'm sure some of my colleagues in the Democratic caucus disagree with her views. She is a socialist. I do believe that she's a great person.
Yeah.
And a base socialist as well.
Yeah. Remy
now,
has
I'd like to say something quick. I am going to head out early because I have matters to attend to. I would personally like to thank, of course, Mr. Holland for having me on, of course. It's good to be back on the stream. I'd like to thank my co-host, of course, Konnor Harris. I'd like to thank all of my guests. Every single one of you were a joy to work with. And that is all. Very interesting election season, but it'll be very interesting to see what will happen next. I'd like to say thank you and good night.
Thank you, Brad. It was a pleasure. It's like the old times before Insight came along. Maybe maybe we will see you.
Era with Insight.
Yes, maybe we will see you in the midterms. Yes, of course, we will be back with the midterms. They are important now as well. So we will be covering the midterms. Chuck and I will work tomorrow or something on the graphics for the website so that all the results are nicely up. Right? Chuck?
Right.
Yes.
Like some big things.
I'm sure we're going to spend a great deal of time with our interns working
Yeah.
on the graphics.
Yes. And Ladarian, you have been quiet a little bit. I see on my screen that Federal Judge Stewart also has walked on the stage and has sat behind Barry. So, whatever this is going to be, it's probably not going to be on this show. You're gonna have to watch it yourself. Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap up because this is taking a long time. I'd like to thank Brad and Konnor for being wonderful hosts. I'd like to thank the guests for being wonderful guests as well. Of course, I want to thank Chuck for being a great Wolf Blitzer, whatever his name is, from CNN. Of course, I want to thank all the viewers. Without the viewers, we wouldn't do this. It has been an interesting election night. We will see what's to come. So yeah, thank you for being here. Oh, what? Wait. Okay. Barry is resigning from the office of Senate.
Wow. Wow, this comes as a shock to myself.
Wow.
I was a big fan of Senator Barry, and I'm quite sad they'll be leaving us in the Senate. I do wonder who Governor Lego will be appointing, or tomorrow it will be if they choose to appoint someone, or if they choose to leave it to the next governor-elect, Governor-elect Stewarts.
Yeah, that's a shock.
But God bless Senator Barry.
God
The
bless.
last times we say Senator Barry. I just amazing service in their tenure. Vice President, President, Senator. I believe they were Senate Majority Leader as well at one point.
So another seat up for the Senate soon.
Well, of course, now we have to wait a month for a special election because.
Yeah.
Well, I do wonder if current Governor Lego is going to appoint someone in Senator Barry's stead, or if if they'll leave that duty to Governor-elect Stewarts. But
yeah,
whatever
that's
we
a
see,
shock.
I bid whoever they appoint well. Personally, I hope that they appoint someone who will caucus with myself and the other left-leaning senators, just so that it's not a total, so it's not a total supermajority for the right. However,
it remains to be seen.
Yeah, it remains to be seen.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of Barry's press conference. If you want to watch the questions, you can tune over. Anyone else want to say something before we wrap up for the night? Give it a minute.
Oh, I'd just say thank you for having me and the rest of our guests.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and we will see you in the midterms. Inside News will have some future programming. We hope to start a news broadcast regularly, and of course the midterms, and some other programming that we will do, or that I want to do as head of media. So yeah, it's been a wonderful time. It's been an interesting result. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Well, thank you everyone for watching, and yes, we'll see you next time.